right in. I need this morning, not so much to preach to you, but to have a bit of a pastoral moment where I need to start a conversation that I know that I'm not going to finish today, but it's one of those conversations we need to have. It started a few days ago and continued with a conversation that Sylvia and I started at 5 o'clock in the morning that we knew we couldn't finish, and continued on. Just me and God the rest of the day, and her and God the rest of the day, and now with you this morning. I want to continue this conversation. In Genesis chapter 37, we are introduced. You don't have to find 37 because we're going to be in 50, Genesis 50. But we are introduced there to a young man by the name of Joseph. You remember Joseph? Yeah. He is loved by his father. He has big dreams for himself, and then one day in a moment of time, everything changes. Everything changes for him. He shares his dreams with his father, and he is rebuked for those dreams. He is sent to the field to visit his brothers, who throw him into a pit. They actually wanted to kill him, but Reuben talks them out of it. Judah comes up with the idea of selling him to the gypsies. So they sell this young man to the gypsies. He is carried off into slavery, and there he goes from a favorite son to a slave, and then a prisoner in jail for accused of rape. He eventually becomes second in command of Egypt. But what a way to get there. What a way to get there. Years later, his brothers are kneeling before him. And he, in that moment, refuses to take vengeance. Our text is Genesis chapter 50, verses 19 and 20. Genesis chapter 50, verses 19 and 20 is Joseph's remarkable commentary on his unexpected journey of uncertainty. I want to talk this morning about embracing uncertainty. Embracing uncertainty. Genesis chapter 50, verses 19 and 20. Joseph said, it reads this way, and Joseph said unto them, fear not, for am I in the place of God? But as for you, you thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good, to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive. This is remarkable. I know that we know this almost by heart. I can hear some of you quoting it. We know it by heart. But this is a remarkable commentary on the last several decades of his life. The boy ain't cussing. He ain't bitter. He ain't going off. He ain't chopping heads. This is a remarkable commentary because that's not the way it works for us. Come on, saved people. That ain't the way it usually works for us. I where's my stuff? I brought some stuff today to facilitate our discussion, because it is what was unpacked for me as I had this discussion with the Lord the other day. This is how life works for us. We spend our lives in a box. In a box that you and I construct. We construct these boxes from our experiences, our explanations, our expectations, and a word some of you may not have heard before, our exegesis. Stay with me. I got to get out of the box. Our experiences, the construct of these boxes that you and I live inside of and judge life and measure circumstances on, these boxes that we live in of experiences, explanation, expectation, and exegesis. Stay with me. Stay with me. Experiences are the things that have happened to us. These are things that have happened to us, things that have happened in our past, and these kind of things that we allow to shape us and to mold our thinking and to shape who we are. There are things that we've heard and experienced and felt, and sometimes it's the way we were brought up. Sometimes it's the junk mama said and the things daddy didn't say. It's our experiences that shape our life, and we use them to construct the boxes that we live in. Are you still with me? Our explanations are the stories we tell ourselves in order to explain the stuff we don't have answers for. Yes. Are you with me? Our explanations are the stories we tell ourselves when we don't have answers for stuff. This stuff drives our emotions. We look and we don't see somebody, and because we don't know why they're not there, we make up a story in our mind, and that story, depending on the story, sends us off into emotions of anger or sadness or whatever. It's because we make up these stories when we don't have facts. All right. Come on. Is anybody with me? They are stories we make up and tell ourselves, explanations that we make up to put sideboards and bring certainty to the stuff we can't explain because we are uncomfortable with silence. We are uncomfortable with silence. And so when we ask God questions like why, and we don't get answers, we make up answers. Because we are uncomfortable with silence. We are uncomfortable with just sitting and being in the moment. That's why we keep moving, because our explanation tells us keep on moving, keep it moving. And so we keep moving and never deal with the stuff we're in, because that's the box we construct. We build our boxes that we live in out of our experiences and our explanations. We construct them with our expectations. These boxes we live in. Expectations are the things we think ought to happen. The stuff we think is supposed to happen. Sometimes it's based on what happened before. Sometimes it's just based on stuff that we heard that we think it ought to happen and supposed to happen. Expectations. So sometimes they're based on, are y'all listening to me? Sometimes our expectations are based on things that happened before, and we assume they're supposed to happen. And so so we make up little stories and little words and little songs about our expectations. Even though our expectations are faulty, we make up little songs and sayings about them, and we live in these boxes. And we used to say stuff like, it is no secret what God can do. What he's done for others, he will do for you. What he's done for others, he can do for you, but it doesn't mean that he will do it. Do it for you. And so I knew when I came this morning, this was going to be hard for you. And so we build these boxes that we live in with expectations that have come from sources that ought not be feeding us our expectations.
All right.
Yes. Come on.
Sometimes it's based on stuff that happened before, and other sides of boxes that we've constructed. And sometimes we expect people to act a fool because the last people we knew acted a fool. We expect our current spouse to leave because our last spouse left. And so we got these expectations. We expect certain things to happen because we saw it on TV, and it must be true. That must be the way that men really think, because I saw it on TV and somebody said that men are from Mars and women are from Venus, and it must be true. And so we build our lives around these expectations. The last thing I want to talk about here is our exegesis. That's one of them seminary words that really just means how we interpret Scripture. How we interpret Scripture. It's about what we think Scripture means. Are you still with me?
Yes.
That's okay. I'm going to keep on talking because I know you're going to stop listening for a little bit, but you'll be back. It's our exegesis in the boxes that we build is about what we think Scripture says, what we think Scripture ought to say. Sometimes it's based on what we think we want Scripture to say. And we make Scripture say sometimes what we think it ought to say, or what we want it to say. The other day, one wonderful man of God, I'm sure, got a revelation that the gospel of prosperity was wrong. Of course, after he accumulated $40 million in that prosperity gospel, now he can give it back, dude. Exegesis is what we want Scripture to say. And we build, there's a whole lot, listen to me, there's a whole lot of bad theology and bad doctrine that comes inside of boxes. This is how we build. Denominations are formed off of bad exegesis. And so got a box, and then, because he finds some little thing in that box he don't like, he start his own box. And that guy, he don't like something that was done, so he pulled half the congregation and start his little box. And it doesn't matter what size or shape the box comes in. There is no box big enough to house God. See, some people make a whole, are y'all listening to me? Some people have made a whole lot of money selling books about boxes. Boxes. Easy formulas. Quick fix beliefs. All come in these boxes that we construct. Boxes are our attempt to create some degree of certainty when life is uncertain. Because there's something about our mind that wants answers, that wants things to balance and agree and to make sense. And so we create these boxes in order to manage our lives. I hope you're staying active. To manage our lives. We build these boxes not only to manage our lives, we build boxes to manage God. We build boxes to define him and control him. We build boxes to manage him and explain away his infinite complexity. We reduce the incomprehensibility of God down to cute little sayings that have no basis in truth at all, but they sound good. Here's the thing. A manageable God inside of my box is fine as long as he keeps fitting in the box. As long as he limits his work and activity to the confines of the box, then the God of the box is fine. As long as he doesn't work outside the box. But what happens when he does? What happens when God doesn't fit in the box? What happens when real life spills out over the edges and the sides of the box? What happens when life and God don't fit into our box of religion? What happens when something happens that doesn't fit into our box theology? Our easy answers. What happens when things don't go the way we expected? Don't go the way we expected them to. Our neat little formulas that we figure out in Scripture, and we calculate that this is what's supposed to happen, and we figure this out real fine, and we put it in charts and graphs and everything else, and we write big old books and videos and DVDs, and we do whole seminars on, and then, boom, something happens and it don't work. What happens when our neatly boxed explanations don't pan out? When easy answers don't add up. When life doesn't make sense and you can't make sense of it. We live with these psychological conflicts. Y'all still listening to me? Yes. I realize I'm thinking out loud sometimes, but I want to know you're still here every now and then. There's these psychological conflicts in our mind when two apparently opposite things are true at the same time. When God is good and life is bad. When God is a healer and your loved one dies. When God is a provider and you lose your job. What happens when two apparently true things, equal things that are both true, are true at the same time? I'm not talking about you lost your job, but God provided. I'm talking about you are in the midst of being broke and God is still a provider. What happens when there are opposite things that are true at the same time? How can God be good and life be bad? What do you do in life when it doesn't fit your box? What do you do with God when it doesn't fit the sides of your package powered instant add water theology?
Wow. Come on. Yes.
What happens when the conflicts, your spiritual and emotional conflicts, don't get resolved? What happens when you don't get answers to your questions, much less answers to your prayers? What happens when you pray and believe and don't get what you prayed and believed? See, I know know that some of you are going to take this and you are going to wrap it up and you're going to put it up under your box. And that's okay. But I am compelled to have this discussion with you. Go ahead. See, when we live out of the box, we set ourselves up for disappointment and anger with God. Yes. We lash out against God and other people because we have constructed a box for him and he got out of the box. He did not operate within the confines of the box that we built, and now we are angry and disappointed because we put him in the box, and he didn't stay there. He would not be, what do you call it, the dog potty trained? What you call it? What you call the dog when you teach him to pee on the paper? Housebroken. God would not be housebroken. And so now we are angry with God because we set up certain expectations. We set up certain explanations and all of these things, and God didn't cooperate. We set ourselves up for anger. We lash out. We condemn ourselves. We condemn other people. Maybe I didn't have enough faith. Maybe I didn't believe hard enough. Maybe that person that didn't have enough faith, and they died because they didn't have enough faith. What do you do with the people who have faith and change the world and die? Oh my God. Come on. Yes. If nobody died, then God didn't make his world big enough. I hope you're with me. I don't expect that I'm going to answer all your questions today, but I do expect that we're going to start the discussion. Yes. Because what happens is that we live inside these boxes and we construct these boxes for God, and we construct our own theology around these boxes. And when God don't function inside the box, then either we are left with sometimes stuffing stuff down. We stuff stuff down to try to make it fit. And so we have to live and suffer in silence with our doubts and our disconnect from God. If you're still here, just wave your hand. I don't know if you're still listening to me. I don't know how many people I'm talking to. See, that's what happens sometimes when we say, so-and-so had a trauma, so-and-so had a loss, so-and-so had this experience, and they seem to never recover. They seem to forever be angry with God. It's not that they're angry with God, it's that they're angry with the God they constructed this box for. And they ain't the same. We stuff then these haunting thoughts back inside our box that maybe, because see, are y'all listening to me? Because see, what I'm left with is if God don't fit in this box and he doesn't do what I expected him to do in the confines of this box, then either God is unfair. Either God is unfair, or somehow I'm not worthy. And so I live either condemning God or condemning me. Come on, preach. I hope this is helping you. It is. Yes. We started this discussion. We started this discussion the other day because see, our little boxes don't mix. They don't line up. Are you hearing me? Because if I say so and so didn't get healed because they didn't take care of their body no way, then why am I still alive and I'm fat? And if Pastor so-and-so, the prophet of healing, died 5 years ago because we live out of boxes, whether they're sold in books or in video. We live out of these boxes that are too small for God. Truth is, our boxes are too small for God. Our boxed religion with its instant mixed faith is too simplistic for a complex God. God cannot and will not be limited to our limited view, imposed on us by our experiences, our explanations, our expectations, or our exegesis. God is not and will not be limited. Theology calls God, speaking of God, it calls God omni. You know, omni, all. It calls God omni. It says God is omnipotent. He is omnipotent. He is unlimited in power. He is unlimited in power, but that's not all. He is omniscient. He is unlimited in knowledge. So not only is there nothing God cannot do, nothing. I told you that uncertainties and risk and all of that stuff do not limit God. There is nothing that God cannot do. Nothing that he cannot do. He is I can't even think of the word right now, but it means that he has complete and total, unending, unlimited creative power. There is nothing he cannot do. He can create organs and create clean blood. He can reconstruct organs and dissolve tumors. There is nothing that God cannot do, and there is nothing that God doesn't know. That's right. Amen. That's right. He manages and controls an infinite number of variables. There's no change in script that throws him off. There are no surprises to him. God, there is nothing God does not know. He knows the beginning from the end and the middle. He knows the hairs on your head. He knows how many breaths you will take. He manages an infinite number of variables. If this happens, he'll do this all at the same time. There is nothing he does not know. He is omniscient. He is omnipresent. That means he is unlimited in his presence. He is everywhere at the same time, fully present. And his presence in one place does not diminish his presence in another. He is fully present everywhere. Not only right now, but he is already fully present in our future. The Bible says that he goes before us. There is nowhere we can go, nothing we can encounter, nothing we should fear about tomorrow, because our God, who is omniscient and omnipotent, is already present there. Hallelujah. Yes, Lord. And the Bible says that not only is he all powerful and all knowing and all present, he exercises all authority. It says he is sovereign. That means he has unlimited authority. It means that God, listen, it means that God will exercise all of his attributes to accomplish his plan whenever, however, wherever he chooses, with absolute authority. He doesn't need your opinion. He doesn't need your approval. And he will step all over your box. All over the boxes that you build. He will not God, I built this box for you, and I've studied this, and this is what's supposed to happen. And here's all the scriptures. Look, God, they on my refrigerator, but God didn't work in your box.
All right. That's right.
It just makes sense. God didn't work inside the box. He is sovereign. He will do whatever he chooses to do, even if it violates the rules of your box. Somebody called me the other day, tell me about on 9/11, no less, of a Jewish rabbi leading the synagogue who was praying and teaching them about Judaism because they wanted to understand the foundation of Judaism. And somewhere along the line, they called and said, I found Jesus. It just functioned outside of the box. Nobody shared Christ with him. Nobody gave him a tract. Nobody walked him through the plan of salvation. Nobody walked him through the 4 point. Nobody helped him recite the sinner's prayer. He just one day, Jesus appeared and he found Christ. And so here he is in his 80s, standing and shouting and dancing hallelujah in his driveway because that morning he found John 3:16. God is sovereign. That means that he can weave his plan in and outside of our boxes. And to him, it doesn't matter that that's what you think ought to happen or you're uncomfortable with his decision. And really? We could, with those of us who live in boxes, see, from our boxes, we condemn everybody who lives outside of our boxes. God moves in a mysterious way. His wonders to perform. He plants his footsteps on the sea, rides upon the storm. Deep in unsearchable minds of never-failing skill, he treasures up his bright designs and works his sovereign will. Ye fearful saints, fresh courage take. The clouds you so much dread are big with mercy and shall break in blessings on your head. Judge not the Lord by feeble sense, but trust him for his grace. Behind a frowning providence, he hides a smiling face. His purposes will ripen fast, unfolding every hour. The bud may have a bitter taste, but sweet will be the flower. Blind unbelief is sure to err and scan God's work in vain. God is his own interpreter. Yes. He will make it plain. This is really the essence of a Joseph story. Capsulized in these 2 phrases. Fear not, for am I in the place of God? But as for you, you thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good. Yes. To bring to pass as it is this day, to save much people alive. That teaches us that about the certainty of God in uncertain times. Joseph begins with a rhetorical question in verse 19. He said, am I instead of God? Am I supposed to play God? That's really what this is about. He said, am I supposed to play God? Am I supposed to know everything God knows? Am I supposed to undo everything that God's done for all these decades? Yeah, you threw me in the pit. Yeah, you sold me to the gypsies, but am I supposed to be in the place of God? Am I supposed to know and understand the inner workings of God and the thoughts and imaginations and the intricacies and complexities of God, that I can stand in the place of God and pass judgment on what God has done? Who is so smart that they can stand and declare that this is why God did this, and this is the reason God did this, and then we come up with all of these wonderful sayings that mean absolutely nothing but that we built the box. I thought I knew. I was telling my wife yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I thought I knew everything. I was a young man, and I thought I knew it all. I had seen it all. I had seen healings. I had seen deliverance. I grew up around it. I seen demons talk. I seen dead people rise. I saw this coming up, and I never really understood how to function outside of my box. And then I met a lady. And from the moment that I met her, she was never well.
All right. Come on, preach.
She was sick the whole time I knew her. Until she went to heaven. And most of the time that I knew her, she was almost bedridden.
Come on.
But I watched her faith. I watched a joy on her heart and on her lips. I heard her sing praises. I heard her worship God and pray. I saw her bless dozens, if not hundreds, of lives that she poured into. My wife and her sisters played the piano because this woman, her aunt Helen, poured into them. Even as she was dying, she blessed people. And I think to myself, am I in the place of God? Am I in the place of God that somehow I have the wisdom to untangle this web that turned out to be suffering for her, but blessings for hundreds? Am I so smart that I could untangle the web of God's providence and decide whether she should have lived and others not be blessed? Are we really that smart with the boxes we built? This text, Joseph says, am I instead of God? Am I supposed to play God? Y'all got time for me? Y'all got time for me? I know this is a discussion, and I wish I had notes for all this, but no, I just, it is just all the variables that God has to manage.
That's right.
Do you get this? All the variables that he manages. And the will of people. Or the desire. Are you really telling me?
Come on now.
Are you really telling me that all of the infinite complexities that God manages in all of the world to accomplish his will comes down to me quoting the verse that I stick on my refrigerator? I'm just asking. Is that how they say it? I'm just saying. I don't set aside belief. Do you hear me? I don't set aside belief. I don't set aside miracles. I see miracles all the time. I'm not setting aside any of those. I'm not setting aside faith for the word that God has dropped, the rhema word that he's dropped in your heart for that season. I'm not setting that aside at all. I'm simply saying to you that we cannot limit God to the box of our expectation. Here's what Joseph says, and I'm done. Here's what he says in this verse. It's what his is sum total of what he says. Number one, he says, I ain't God. Have you realized that?
Yes.
Have you come to terms with the fact that you ain't God? Hello?
Amen. Amen.
As much as you think you are, or act like it, hello?
Amen.
You ain't God. You ain't God. And no TV preacher is God. And no video series or DVD series or CD series or podcast or anything else. Ain't nobody God.
That's right.
God is managing an infinite number of variables all at the same time.
That's right.
I wish you could understand this. I wish you were comprehending. I wish you were comprehending this. That the level of detail that God manages in order. Joseph says, look at what he said. Joseph, I'm ahead of myself, but Joseph says, God did all of this. Can I go Star Trek on you for a minute? God says, in effect, that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And even when God talks about healing in Corinthians, he talks about the fact that the gifts of the Spirit are manifest not for the individual, but for the good of the whole. You know what that means? What that means is that God will do what he wants to do based on his will and purpose and good intent for the whole. And if it pleases God's purposes for you to be blessed, then so shall you be blessed. If it pleases God's purposes for you to suffer and for the blessing and purpose of the kingdom, then so shall you suffer. God is sovereign. But understand that God is sovereign, but God is not arbitrary and capricious. He wraps up all of that in his love for us. And everything that he does is motivated by his love. So Joseph can say with confidence that what God's view is bigger than our view. God's view is bigger than our view. God sees more. He has a wider, broader view. All I see is what I'm going through.
Come on.
And frankly, most of the time, all I'm interested in.
Tell the truth.
Don't look at me. Y'all saying what?
Tell the truth.
God's view is bigger than our view. He says God's knowledge is infinitely more intricate than our knowledge. You ask me why. Why this for you? Why this for you? The best theology I can give you is I don't know. I'm gonna say, when I get to heaven, I'm gonna ask God. No, you're not. Unless your translation from earthly to eternal don't unplug the stupid, you're not gonna ask. God, why you do so and so? But I care. I'm in heaven. And so is my mama and my sister. What I care about why they not on earth. What I do, I want them to go back to earth. I'm just thinking out loud. Joseph says in this text, he says, not only is God's view bigger than our view, not only is God's knowledge infinitely more intricate than our knowledge, he says, but God weaves his purposes with flawless precision. God, that's what this word thought. You thought it evil, but God thought it for good. You meant it for evil, but God meant it for evil. It means to weave. It means to plait, to braid, to braid. Where my little sweetie at? I tried to braid her hair yesterday. She think I didn't know what I was doing. I knew how to braid, but I can't braid like God. God weaves his purposes with flawless precision. And we don't know what's happening because we can't see it, but God has a view that's higher than ours, and he knows what he's weaving. All we see is that jangled mess at the bottom of the quilt underneath, but God sees what's on top, and he is weaving this living tapestry for us with flawless precision. That means God don't make no mistakes. I know we say it, but half the time we say, God don't make no mistakes, but we thinking, but he did this time because he should have took so-and-so, and he should have did this, and he should have did this. But God weaves his purposes with flawless precision. He is never going to get to the end of the journey and say, oops, I forgot. Not only that, he accomplishes his good. Even, Joseph says, through bad things. He accomplishes his good, even through bad things. Sometimes he accomplishes his good through bad people.
Yes, right.
Yeah. That's right. Ooh. Yesterday in the book of Acts, God told Jesus wanted them to go to all the world, but they got comfortable in Jerusalem, and so God allowed a bad thing to come to drive them from Jerusalem, so the gospel spread throughout the world. Sometimes God accomplishes his good even through bad.
Yes, Lord.
Hallelujah.
But he always accomplishes his good.
Hallelujah.
Here's the last thing, and I'm done. I think I had enough. God's good will can be trusted even when we don't know the end. God's good will can be trusted even when we don't know the end. I'd like to know the whys. But the truth is there's such an infinite number of them, past, present, and future, that I could never comprehend. But I can trust that God's good will for me will be accomplished even if I don't know the end of the story.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord.
Ted Holler's poem, and I'm near the end here, just offers this perspective in what he calls gorillas of voice. That maybe prayer is more than just words. He says, how shall I pray? Our tears, prayers, Lord? Our screams, prayers, or groans, or sighs, curses? Can trembling hands be lifted to you, or clenched fists, or the cold sweat that trickles down my back, or the cramps that knock my stomach? Will you accept my prayers, Lord, my real prayers, rooted in the muck and mud and rock of my life? And not just the pretty cut flowers, bouquets of words. Will you accept me, Lord, as I really am? Messed up mixture of glory and grime. You see, faith is not about decreasing uncertainty. It is really about embracing uncertainty. For it is in uncertainty that I find certainty of God. Truth is, sometimes the answers to our uncertainty, the answer to our mournful sighs towards what seems to be a dark heaven. Sometimes the answer is just, trust me, I got this. This is really old, Sylvia, and I don't know if you'll remember. I woke up with this the other day. Give ear to my words, O Lord. Consider my meditation. Hearken unto the voice of my cry, my King and my God. For unto thee will I pray, my voice shalt thou hear in the morning. O Lord, in the morning will I direct my prayer unto thee and with the God. Give ear to my prayer, O Lord. Consider my meditation. Hearken unto the voice of my cry, my King and my God. For unto thee will I pray, my voice shalt thou hear in the morning. O Lord, in the morning will I direct my prayer unto thee and with the God. Unto thee and with the God. Come on, stretch your hands. Father, we love you. We love you.